So you may have heard that the TOEFL IBT is changing January 1st, and it's a significant change. Now, if you've been struggling with the TOEFL for a long time and have not been able to pass it, and you think that the test is going to be easier come January, you better think again. Let's take a look at this new coming test and see what you're in for. Now, before I go in to show you what's on this test, I want to let you know that ETS never makes the TOEFL easier. I've been a professional TOEFL tutor since 2007, and I've seen the test change over those years. But this new change, is like the difference between a tractor trailer truck and a bicycle. It is completely different. It has its own new structures and rules. It is a shorter test. The test will only be 85 minutes overall instead of the 2 hours that you sit for in the 4 sections of the test today. However, the way that they make the questions on the new test are far trickier, and you're going to have to study more. Listen, ETS makes their money from you taking the test over and over and over and over again. You think they're going to make it so you can take it just once and pass? No. If you have been taking the current TOEFL IBT and you're just struggling with it, I can help you to get that respectable passing score, and it's better to get it now. Get your respectable passing score now, and then you don't have to wonder or try to figure out that test that they're going to have in January. I'm just trying to give you some good advice, okay? You've struggled with the stupid test for too long already. I can help you pass it in 30 to 90 days, depending on where you are in your abilities. And it's good to pass your TOEFL today. Let's go into the coming test because I want to show you what to be prepared for if you're just getting started in the TOEFL. There's no reason that you have to wait to January to pass when you can pass it before Christmas. But let's take a look at it anyway. Here it is. In the first part of this test, you have 10 questions, but it doesn't even look like you have 10 questions. This is called fill in the missing letters in the paragraph. And this is the first 10 questions of your test. They give you a paragraph, and as you can see, there are 10 incomplete words. You have to know how to spell those words and fill in the blanks with the proper letters. Now, if you're an excellent speller and you know all your words, this will be an easy part of the test for you. But if you aren't an excellent speller and you don't know all the words in English, this is going to be a very difficult challenge. Not to mention, well, you say, well, mister, I'll just get a TOEFL vocabulary book. There is no such thing. You have no idea what 10 words will be on that coming test for you to study. What are you going to do? Study the whole dictionary, 250,000 words in the English language? You're going to be prepared? No, but there are methods for answering these questions. I am building a new TOEFL course for January, but let me tell you, as I work out building this new course, it's a struggle because as I'm building this course, I'm thinking about how you think. How are you going to be able to understand what to do and to be able to do it quickly and accurately on the most important test of your life? This is the challenge. The challenge for me, a greater challenge for you. The test right now is so much easier. Yes, it may have been a challenge for you, but once you know how it works and you know exactly step by step what to do and you apply the rules, the current test is way easier. But now let's take a look at this second task where you have to read a notice and then answer questions about the notice. All right, so they give you a notice and they have some questions about it. Right here we have municipal charter, sign up for paperless billing statements below. It's some kind of common thing that everyone should be aware of. Maybe everyone who's an American or you've been living in the United States for a long time. But if you're not used to how things are done in the United States, this would be a very tricky section for you. All right, so what they're going to do is give you this little notice and they're going to give you questions about it. Believe me, they're not straightforward. There will be choices that seem right, but they're wrong. because ETS doesn't make questions easy. They make questions tricky, and you have to understand how the tricks work. And believe me, if it's hard for me, how hard do you think it's going to be for people who English is not their first language? Let's take a look at the rest. Here we have reading a social media post and answering questions about it. Now remember, this is going to be timed. You have 85 minutes for the entire test. You have seconds to answer these questions. So you better get really good at reading and understanding English slang and different ways that we say things in English that are different than you're used to. And you need to be able to read the quiz quickly, find the information quickly, and how are you going to pick the right answer? There will be choices that seem right. There'll be information that's in the passage, but it's wrong according to the ETS rules. You got to know how it works. Let's continue. Here we have another passage. Now, this is a mini passage like you would see on the current TOEFL IBT. You have a passage, and then you have questions about that passage. It's the same thing that we're doing today. You're going to have to understand the main ideas in the passage and use what you know to answer the questions. They're not going to be easy. They have rules and they have ways of tricking you. So again, I am building that new course for January. I have my current TOEFL course. Most of my students pass in 30 to 60 days. Even if you've been struggling with scores of 78 to 82, you can pass your current TOEFL IBT in 30 to 90 days just using the methods that I teach you. Let's move on. Reading section module 2. What is this? In an actual test? Let's see what they have here. Fill in the missing letters in the paragraph. Again, another one with filling in the missing letters. You better know what these words are and you better be able to spell them. I mean, look at this. Let's see, and memory, it, what? Is divided in what? Into several what? What is this word that begins with R-E-G? Can you fill in the remaining 4 letters? Do you know what that word is? Okay. In which, specific to row, R-O, 3 letters, what is this word that you have to finish, right? You have to understand what it is they're saying so you can finish the words. Pause the video. If you can't do it right now, how do you expect this test to be easier for you in January? It isn't. The current test, so much easier. Just get onto my website, pass the current test. Why wait till January when you can pass the test now? What else is going on here? Read an email. Well, of course, that's something that's common, right? And then you have to use the information from the email to answer questions. That should be fairly straightforward, fairly easy. I can assure you they will have information that's in the passage, and there's a choice that matches that information that doesn't answer the question. So you've got to be careful. You will be in an extreme hurry when you're answering these questions. And when we're in a big hurry, we can make simple mistakes. All I'm doing is saying, be aware, be prepared. All right, let's continue. Again, another email and answering questions. This email is a little longer, which puts more pressure on you for time. When you have more pressure for time, we have more anxiety, and when we have anxiety, our brain shuts off and everything seems much more difficult. So you're going to have to learn how to do this. If you're going to wait till January, you'd better be prepared now to pass this test. And believe me, if I took the test, if I took the new TOEFL right now, I would be struggling with it. And English is not just my first language. I also teach college level English for essay writing. So English isn't just my first language. I'm really good at it. And yet the TOEFL is a challenge. So you've got to be prepared. Continue. And again, another passage just like we have in the current test, but a mini passage. And the questions are going to be tricky. They're not hard, they're tricky. But if you know how to answer them, if you know the structures of the passages and the rules for how to answer the questions, you can answer them quickly and accurately. That's really what I teach you in my online course. I teach you how to read less, understand more, get the credited choice quickly and accurately so you can get that respectable passing score and get on with your life now rather than wait till January. Let's continue. Now, listening section. The listening section, 30 to 40 questions. You're going to listen and choose a response. You will have conversations that you'll listen to. And there will be announcements or academic talks that you will have to listen to and answer questions. Let's take a look. In an actual test, the clock will show you how much time you have to complete each question. What this tells me is that ETS has not yet worked out how much time you will have for each section. I've seen a lot of videos about the new test, but I'm sure none of it's accurate until December or January. I'm sure that whatever ETS does is going to make it very difficult for you to answer the questions accurately in time. What you have here, choose the best response. You're going to listen to a woman and a man, and then you're going to have to answer questions about what they say. And there'll be choices that seem right, but they're wrong because they're going to have a lot of information and you have to know what it is that ETS is asking you. Listen to a conversation and then answer questions. Well, this is like question number 2 in the speaking section right now. You listen to a conversation and then answer questions based on what they're saying instead of, in the speaking section, you have to summarize what they say. But here you're going to have to listen to what they say. You will not have a transcript as you're seeing here. You will listen to what they say. You're going to have to take notes and use your notes to answer the questions. And it's going to be very few seconds to answer each question, I can assure you. Again, listen to another conversation, answer the questions, listen to a conversation, answer the questions. And here, listen to a longer talk and answer questions. And this is like a mini of the listening section that we have now. You're going to listen to a mini lecture, and then you're going to answer questions about what you heard. Module 2, again, choose the best response. You have criteria. You have to know what it is that ETS wants of you, and there will be a lot of choices that seem right. But if you don't know what ETS is requiring of you, how are you going to answer correctly when you don't know the rules of the test? That's the challenge. But right now, for the listening section, it's so much easier than you might think. There's very specific structures for how ETS gives information in the passages. And they have very specific rules for how you answer the questions. Most of my students that come to me struggling with the listening section go from a score of 17 or 18 to 27 to 28 in just a few days. Let's continue. Again, conversation, questions, conversation, questions. Seems so easy, but I can assure you that it's very tricky. Here's a longer talk. Listen to a talk in an environmental science class. What they're typically going to use here is long sentences, difficult vocabulary words that make you feel anxious. And when you're anxious, your brain shuts off and you won't be able to answer the questions. You're going to have to listen, take notes. Use your notes to answer the questions. You'll probably have 2 to 3 seconds per question to answer. It's the same thing with the current test. And what I teach you is how to understand the question, trigger your memory to answer questions, and use your notes and your memory to eliminate wrong choices. Pick the credited answer. Let's move on. And now, the writing section. Wait a minute. Writing section? Reading, listening, writing. The current test is in a different order. It's reading, listening, speaking, and writing. So why is ETS putting the writing section right after the listening section? Because they know if you've been trying to take the TOEFL for some time, anything that changes makes you more nervous or anxious. They're not making the test easier. They're making it trickier and harder for you. Pass the test now. There's no reason to wait. The writing section. Again, we have 3 tasks in the writing section. Build a sentence, write an email using the information provided, and believe me, there's things that they want. And if you don't give them what they want, you might write a perfect email. But if it's not what they want, you get a low score. And they're not real clear about that, just so you know. And the last one is write an academic discussion. Participate in an online discussion. That's question 2 in the current test. Let's take a look. What do we have here? 5 sentences with blanks. You have words underneath in the wrong order. You have to place these words in the correct order. You must know proper English grammar to be able to pass this section of the test. So if you don't have those skills, pass the test now. You don't need those skills to pass the TOEFL today. all right, to pass it within the next 30 to 90 days using the methods that I teach you. You may have had other tutors that were disappointing. My goal is to help you to pass this TOEFL as quickly and as economically as possible so that you can go out into society and start making the world a better place. Let's continue here. We have 5 more questions. As if the first 5 weren't hard enough, you've got 5 more. And believe me, you can put these words in a certain order and it sounds right, but it's wrong based on what ETS wants. So you may think you're doing really well. You may have good grammar skills and you've put the words in the order that seems right to you. But if it isn't in the order that ETS wants, I'm just telling you, this is not going to be an easier test. It never is. Let's continue. You have to write an email. Okay, you have 7 minutes to organize and write your email. 7 minutes. Try practicing that. Okay, they give you information and they want you to write an email based on that information. And you have to set it up in the structure that they want. If you don't know the structure they want you to write in, how are you going to do it the way they want? Trial and error? How many times are you going to take the TOEFL and try to figure it out until you get it right? No, this is not an easier test. Let's continue. Write an academic discussion. If you don't know how to do this, I have a video on it. I have examples. I show you exactly how the graders are grading your response, how to structure your response, how to use the information to give the response the graders want so that you automatically get that respectable passing score. If you're still here, thank you very much. But if you're still here, click the link right there, okay, in the description below. Click the link in the first comment and subscribe to my online TOEFL video course. Pass the test now. Don't wait for January. Let's continue. And to the speaking section, only 2 tasks. Must be much easier, right? Because there's 4 tasks on the current speaking section. So you think this will be easier? I doubt it. Listen and repeat. You have to listen and repeat what you heard. Seems pretty easy. Yeah, all they want to know is, hey, how do you enunciate your words? Can you speak English well enough so that other people can understand what you're saying? I get that. Okay, if you have a very strong accent and it's difficult for people to understand you, you need to practice separating your words, especially if you're a pharmacist, a dentist, a nurse, or a teacher, which is what most of my students are. All right, so we get that, but take an interview. All right, let's look at these. So you have to listen and repeat. You see these sentences. You have to listen to these sentences and repeat it. You hear it only once. You're going to hear the sentence only once. You have to say it exactly the way they say it. ETS makes sentences that will be difficult for you to enunciate, for you to state clearly. You are going to have to practice and practice thinking of your words, breathing, and speaking. You're going to have to take notes with these sentences. You're going to have to be able to write very fast, make sure you get the words down, and then you have just a couple of seconds to think and then restate the sentence you heard exactly as you heard it. If you can do that right now, fantastic. But if you can't, you better be ready for it in January or just take the TOEFL now. Pass it. And by January, you'll already be successful. You'll already have your license that you need, or you'll already be accepted to the university you're applying to. All right, let's see the last section. What's it about? Take an interview. An interviewer will ask you questions. Answer the questions and be sure to say as much as you can in the time allowed. No time for preparation will be provided. Are you kidding me? There's no time for preparation. You have to answer like that. Look at these questions they have. There are 4 questions. If you read these questions, you will notice that they're very similar to question number 1 in the current speaking section. Now, if question number 1 in the current speaking section is giving you a hard time, guess what? You now have 4 question number 1s. Come January 26th, the last section of the test is giving you 4 questions like question number 1 in the current test. In the current test, you have 15 seconds to prepare and 45 seconds to respond. In this, you have no time, 0. All right. I just want to help you. pass this test as quickly and economically as I can. And I am telling you that don't wait for January because you think, oh, the new test is only 85 minutes. It's going to be so much easier. Absolutely no. No, it will be harder. There'll be so many more students failing come January. The current test is challenging. It's tricky, but it has very specific structures and rules. And when you know the structures and rules that the test makers use to make the test, and you use those structures and rules step by step to answer the questions, you go from getting a 79 or 82 to getting a 102 to 107. And that is what the common jump is for my students. Many of them come with 79 to 82 or 91, 92, and they want to get up over 100 in 30 to 90 days. All of my students improve to get over 100 on their TOEFL IBT, and so can you. Let's get this done. Get to it. That's it for now. Be sure to subscribe.